What is actually harder? Building an extraordinary career, or proving it decades later to an immigration officer who's never heard your name? Imagine this: you win the highest awards in your industry. You help shape one of the biggest radio stations in the UK. But when you decide to move to the United States, none of that automatically counts. For Ian, success wasn't the problem. Evidence was. Most of his career happened before Google archived everything, before social media, before links, screenshots, and digital footprints. Today, we're talking to Ian, a highly awarded radio producer who successfully obtained an O1 visa for extraordinary ability. But before that approval came fear, missing documents, and a request for more evidence that almost broke the momentum. How do you prove you're extraordinary when most of your success lives on paper? What happens when USCIS asks for more proof after you already gave them everything? And why did that moment become the turning point that ultimately won the case? Let's dive in. Just a quick reminder, if you appreciate this in-depth content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more. Now, on with the story.
My name's Ian. I am an alien of extraordinary ability, finally. I got into radio in 1989. I got my first job in radio as an engineer because at the time there was no producers in the UK commercial radio industry. So I went into the engineering route with an interest in the programming side, and on the job they taught me everything about how a radio station works. That was the great thing about being an engineer, was that you have to know how everything in the building works in all the different departments. And as part of that, different departments would teach me different skills, and I worked, really long hours to learn everything I could. And the creative department taught me how to edit on reel-to-reel tapes, which makes me sound really old, and splicing with razor blades and things. And the copywriting department taught me how to write, how to put together a script. I learned all of this fascinating stuff on the job, and that was back in 1989, and I was at that first radio station for a few years. And then producers were then starting to come into play within the commercial industry. They were already in existence in the BBC because they had the budgets, and commercials just starting to experiment with producers, and I was in a great position because I knew all the engineering stuff. I could work a studio. I knew how everything went together. Yeah, and it took, from starting in '89 to getting my first show as a producer was 6 years. 6 years. And it was, during that 6 years, I learned and taught myself everything I needed to get to that position. And then from '95 onwards, I was a producer and worked my way up to become head of production for one of the UK's biggest commercial stations. And I was the longest serving producer at the biggest radio stations in the UK, basically, which was an amazing achievement and one I'm very proud of. So the awards, basically, there's three main awards in the radio industry in the UK. The big one that everybody wants, and is called the Oscars of the radio world, are called the Sony Radio Awards, Sony Radio Academy Awards, and they are an annual award that cover lots of different disciplines, from programming to production awards. Every year, stations pull out their finest work and polish it and send it off and put in for the different categories to try and win a Sony. And I'm fortunate that early on in my producing career, the show that I worked on was not only nominated for an award, but they also asked us to come and host part of the award ceremony in London, which was amazing. And then since then, we've applied every year and been lucky enough to get nominations, and we've won. And I say we've because it's a team effort. And often I'd be like the last person to touch it all before it went in, and I'd put it all together and package it all up and send it off. But it's always a team effort behind the scenes for this. But yeah, so we won gold, we won silver, we won bronze, we got nominations, and that sort of spanned the whole of my career. From sort of the mid-90s onwards, we were getting into the awards and picking up a few. And then the other award is the Arkiva Commercial Radio Awards, which is commercial radio only. Sony Awards are BBC and commercial, which makes it even sweeter because, you know, you're up against the BBC as well as your commercial colleagues. The Archivas are commercial only, and I got nominations and wins in the Archivas as well, including a technical innovation nomination for bringing multimedia use to radio.
Ian didn't become extraordinary overnight. He built it patiently, learning every role, every department, every system inside a radio station. Imagine committing 6 years of your life before getting your first real producing opportunity. No guarantees, no shortcuts. What is the longest you've worked toward a goal without recognition? And what kept you going? Tell us in the comments.
It sounds like a difficult visa to get, but it sounds perfect for what I've achieved, in that I've got international awards, international recognition, and that seems like it might be the way to go. So I then set about finding someone who could help us with that. All my friends who were in the States had all done O1 visas, and that they recommended various attorneys, and we spoke to lots of attorneys who were all very focused on, if you're already in the US, I can help you stay here, and were very O1 focused, so very actors, models, that kind of thing. And then basically with a good old Google search, I found you guys who actually mentioned EB-1 visas in the web page, and actually talked about EB-1 as being a really viable visa category to go for. And that was in the October of 2011, and that's when we chatted with you and thought, right, let's do it. The hoops we had to jump through were daunting at first. It seemed like such an uphill struggle. I knew that I could tick a lot of the boxes. I knew I could. But going back into my career and trying to find the evidence that backed it up was a challenge, not because it wasn't there, but because it was trying to find it. Because a lot of my career happened before the internet, before everything was archived, before everything was digitized. And if I hadn't kept a physical paper copy, then there might not be a copy of it in existence. Luckily, I've kept a lot. And it just took a bit of work and a lot of phone calls to the awards authorities to say, can you send me a letter confirming I've won these awards and what my title and position was on them. And phone calls to various colleagues and peers in the industry asking for endorsements and recommendations, and really just trying to get international opinion on the value of a Sony award, for example, and showing that although it's a UK award, it's the highest UK radio award and it's recognised around the world. And calling on basically all the people I've met over the course of my career to kind of help me put that together. And I think that's really the important thing that I wish somebody 15 years ago had said, just keep everything. And if you can keep all your press cuttings and you can keep any awards mentions and you can keep any documents, I wish I'd kept more, but we managed to find what we...
Ian realized something critical. Having the achievements isn't enough. You must be able to prove them. Most of his awards and recognition existed in a pre-digital world. That meant phone calls, paper letters, old press clippings, rebuilding a career, document by document. If USCIS asked you tomorrow to prove your entire career, would you be ready? Or would your biggest wins be lost to time? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
One of the things I really liked about interacting with the law offices of Chris Ingram was that it was all online, and the table of contents layout online for the client. Once we'd had the initial discussion and that table of contents got built, made it easy to kind of see where we were up to, what we needed to do, and gave us like a roadmap of, right, today we're going to work on published material about me. So, I say today, it was probably a week or 2 weeks at a time, where we'd be on Google, we'd be going back through newspaper archives, we'd be going back through my stuff that I kept, and finding everything we could about that would involve published material about me. And then we could scan it, upload all that, put a tick in that box and move on to the next one. And it gave us a nice structure to work to see what we needed to put together and what evidence you guys would need to really help. I think to talk about how amazing it felt to get him approved, I have to talk a little bit about, back up the process a little bit, because we picked up an RFE, a request for further evidence. And one of the things that we quickly realised on this journey, it sounds like I'm on X Factor. One of the things we quickly realised was that there's highs and lows. The process really takes you through ecstatic moments where you're like, we have got this, we are there. And then, the next piece of post arrives and it's like, or not. And that was suddenly a low. But what became brilliant at that, the very next night we spoke to yourself on the phone and you were like, right, no, this is great, because what they've given us here is a more detailed roadmap of what they need to see in order to approve this case. So turning that around and then having this really detailed and even more in depth. I mean, I didn't think we could do any more research, but we did. And we found some stuff. Even I'd forgotten that I'd done it. It was like amazing. So it was nice in a way. It sounds weird to say it, but it was nice in a way that it wasn't an easy process. It makes it feel more rewarding. They checked during the day the online case status, and they phoned us straight away and said, your IWOG 40 has been approved. And it was just like, wow, what a moment that was. It gives me goosebumps thinking about that reaction. And on the morning of the interview, my wife and I we were ready. We were like, it was tense, it was nervy, it was a little bit scary, but we were ready. We had all the facts in our heads, we knew everything. And actually when we got there, they didn't really ask us that much. It was like, but don't you want to know about? And they were so lovely and so brilliant. And the guy who actually did the interview, the immigration officer, was just so friendly, and it kind of made you feel like you were the only case he was dealing with that day. And it was such a positive experience. And when he kind of just almost under his breath went, I'm pleased to say you've been approved. What? Sadly, no big fanfares, marching bands, flags unfurling, as I was hoping. But that was just, wow, what a day that was.
Then came the emotional roller coaster, a request for further evidence, highs, lows, doubt, relief. But instead of panic, the request became clarity, a clearer roadmap of what USCIS needed to say yes. And then, the interview. No fireworks, no celebration, just one quiet sentence that changed everything. Have you ever had a moment where fear turned into validation? What did that moment teach you?
If you think at any point in your life you're going to want to try and make a career or make a life in the USA, it's never too early to start saving all your press coverage, saving your work, saving any mentions that you get from peers, any published material, and enter awards and win awards and do what you can to get the recognition. It's very British to be very kind of, I don't want any recognition. don't want to talk about me, that actually the process requires you to blow your trumpet a lot. And it feels really, really odd for a British person, I think, to kind of do that. I say, look at me, look how amazing I am, because it's really unnatural. But you have to collect everything now, and wherever you are in your career, if you're just starting out and you see this as a long-term goal, keep everything, because it will make it so much easier in several years' time when you need to put together a case, if you've got it up to hand. And you can keep references to the papers that you've been in, or the magazines you've been in, or the articles that have been written about you. And obviously what's great now is it's a digital age, so hopefully everything would be available and last forever. Whereas when I was doing it, they were still printing off paper, and it was like the dark ages. So my advice would be, if you think that America is anywhere in your future, or it might be, start preparing for it now.
From decades of work in UK radio to an approved O1 visa, Ian's story proves something essential. Extraordinary ability is built quietly, but it must be documented loudly. This wasn't just about a visa. It was about recognition, about turning a lifetime of effort into a future in the United States. If America might be part of your future, don't wait. Save your work. Document your growth. Prepare before immigration forces you to remember your value. What part of his story inspired you the most? Let us know in the comments, and follow our channel for more stories just like this.